When the world collapses, laws vanish, and mercy becomes a memory. Out here, in the dust and silence of the backwoods, it won't be zombies or storms that come for you. It'll be gangs, armed, desperate, and willing to kill for a sack of rice. Your homestead, your land, becomes the front line, and the only thing standing between your family and the nightmare is you. Welcome to Prepper's Edge. This is how you defend your home, when there's no help coming. When society collapses, the rules of civilization die with the light. In the twilight of order, remote homesteads become hunting grounds. You might hear nothing but the wind in the trees until a crack of a twig signals intruders on your land. In that instant, your peaceful farm transforms into a battleground. They are coming. Desperate marauders, feral gangs, the golden horde of the starving and the ruthless, all converging on isolated homes like yours, looking for food, weapons, and blood. Will you be ready? It starts gradually, then all at once. The cities run out of food in days. Within 3 weeks, urban centers are effectively dead. The survivors, tens of thousands of them, flood out into the countryside before starvation claims them. At first they come in trickles, panicked families looking for help, but soon the predators emerge. Small gangs test the outskirts. Young thugs realize there are no police now, no one to stop them. What begins as looting for supplies quickly turns to organized violence. Human nature goes feral at the drop of a hat once law and order fail, and isolated rural homesteads like your sanctuary become prime targets, offering food, livestock, and weapons with little resistance, unless you've turned your home into a fortress. Defense starts from the outside in, with layers. Think of your homestead as a castle. The perimeter is your first wall, the house itself your keep, and a safe room your inner sanctum. Each layer must delay, deter, and debilitate the attackers. We are going to construct a gauntlet of obstacles that any gang would have to survive to reach you, buying you precious time and thinning their ranks at each step. Your first line of defense is the perimeter, the boundary where you plan to spot or stop intruders long before they reach your front door. In peacetime, this might be a simple fence for keeping cattle in. In the SHTF times, it becomes a literal lifesaver. Fencing and barriers. Erect sturdy fencing around your land if possible. Any physical barrier is one more obstacle a looter must overcome. Heavy-duty chain link, wooden stockade, or barbed wire livestock fence, whatever you have, reinforce it. When society falls apart, don't hesitate to top your fences with coils of barbed wire or even razor wire for added deterrence. A fence won't stop a determined truck, but it forces attackers on foot to slow down, make noise, and bleed for every foot they trespass. Defensive landscaping, augment the fence with nature's weapons. Thorny hedges and spiked plants can turn your yard into a briar patch of pain. A thick blackberry bramble or a cacti hedge along the fence line is a painful hurdle for any intruder. Under first-floor windows, plant prickly shrubs or cacti to make climbing in a thorny proposition. Keep large bushes and trees away from your house entry points. You don't want to provide hiding spots right by your door. Instead, clear open space around the house so intruders have no cover and can't get close unseen. You want a kill zone of open ground where you control the sightlines. Warning signs, psychological deterrent. Hang foreboding signs on your perimeter. A rusted private property trespassers will be shot sign or beware of dog placard can give pause to would-be looters. It signals that this homestead isn't an easy mark. Some intruders might laugh it off, but in the back of their minds, you've planted a seed of doubt. What awaits us here? Sometimes that hesitation is all you need. Pair the sign with proof. If you have a big dog, let its bark speak for you. If you have firearms, spent shells on a string at the gate can rattle ominously in the wind. Psychological warfare starts with making them second-guess stepping onto your land. Dog's your four-legged early warning system. Nothing says go away like a deep, menacing bark echoing from a dark porch. An actual guard dog is even better than a beware of dog sign. Big or small, a dog's keen senses and loyalty are priceless. They'll smell and hear approaching attackers long before you do, buying you time to react. And most bandits know that neighborhoods with dogs have lower crime. Criminals hate barking alarms that they can't shut off. Train your dog not to take food from strangers, poison is a real threat, and to recognize friend from foe. In the dead of night, the low growl of a dog can be your first clue that danger is prowling beyond the tree line. Lights and noisemakers. Darkness is the ally of intruders, so steal it from them. Set up motion-activated floodlights covering approaches to your property. A sudden blast of light startles and identifies movement. At the very least, it might send a clumsy looter ducking or fleeing. If you have a generator or solar setup, even a few well-placed LED floodlights on corners of your house and barn can create a perimeter of light. Supplement this with DIY early warning systems. Tripwires attached to makeshift perimeter alarms like empty cans, cowbells, or a shotgun shell blank rigged to a mousetrap. When tripped, these devices create noise and confusion, alerting you and destroying the intruder's element of surprise. It's 2 a.m. A pair of figures slink across your pasture, cloaked in darkness. Suddenly, thunk! One trips a wire. In an instant, floodlights snap on, exposing them in blinding light. Tin cans and junk metal clatter loudly from the tripwire alarm. The intruders freeze, their cover is blown. Inside your house, you're already grabbing your rifle, alerted by the dog's furious barking and the cacophony outside. The first layer of defense has done its job. Even with alarms, technology can fail. Batteries die, wires get cut. There's no substitute for human vigilance. If you have family or a trusted team on your homestead, establish a rotation of patrols or watches, especially at night. Two-person teams are ideal, moving quietly. One scans with night vision or flashlight covered with red filter. The other keeps weapon ready. Patrol the perimeter at random intervals, and always before bedding down for the night. You're not just looking for intruders, but also checking that fences are intact, alarms set, and nothing amiss. At dusk and dawn, stand 2 times when attacks are most likely. Everyone should be on high alert. Eyes on the tree line, ears open. If you have the manpower, set up a 24/7 watch rotation. One person on overwatch at all times, scanning security monitors or watching from an upstairs window, can mean the difference between spotting a threat at 100 yards versus facing it at your door. In a true collapse scenario, exhaustion is your enemy, but you must adapt. Sleep in short shifts, nap when you can, but when it's your turn on guard, be razor-focused. Discipline and coordination within your group will keep everyone alive. No lone wolf heroics here, it's about mutual defense. In fact, history and common sense show that isolating yourself doesn't make you safer. Bandits prefer isolated targets. What does increase safety is having others you trust who can watch your back. Team coordination is crucial. Plan your fields of fire and responsibilities in advance. Every defender should know which sector of the property they cover, so there are no blind spots. Mark out positions. John, you cover the front gate and driveway from the upstairs bedroom window. Maria, you monitor the backfields from the attic vent. I'll take the ground floor, front porch. Create range cards for these firing positions. Literally draw the view and mark distances to key landmarks, tree line, gate, old shed, etc. So you know the range if you have to take a shot. Set up code words or signals for your team. A whistle blast or a specific radio call for enemy spotted. Another for all clear, maybe a phrase like lights out to signal everyone to kill the lights and go dark. Rehearse contact drills. What does everyone do if attackers approach from the north fence versus if a vehicle comes barreling down the driveway? Practice these scenarios so that when the real thing happens, you move like a well-oiled machine under fire. War isn't just fought with bullets, it's fought in the mind. You want the attackers to feel unsure, off balance and afraid. This is where decoys and psychological tactics come in. Think of it as trickery to level the odds, inspired by the ghost army deceptions of World War II. Here's how you can sow confusion and fear in any band of raiders eyeing your homestead. Mannequins and shadow play. Create the illusion of greater numbers. Dress up a couple of dummies in old clothes and hats and position them at visible windows or over the fence at strategic points. At night, with a backlight or lantern behind them, they look like armed sentries standing guard. An attacker scoping your property might think twice. Is someone watching us from that barn loft? Done right, they'll hesitate or even waste ammunition on a scarecrow instead of you. Lights on, nobody's home. Set up solar-powered lights or battery lanterns in different spots around the property to turn on remotely or on a timer. During an attack, suddenly lighting up a second-story room or the inside of a barn can make the enemy think reinforcements have arrived or that you're moving around to flank them. Conversely, kill all lights in your own house at the right moment to plunge your silhouette into darkness while they're exposed in your floodlights. Night fighting is terrifying. Use it to your advantage. If you have a loudspeaker or even a megaphone, you can yell orders as if calling to additional defenders. Jake, cover the south fence. Trick them into believing your numbers are greater. Sounds of survival. Consider recording sounds of activity to play as needed, the barking of multiple dogs, the shouts of several men, the distinctive slide of a shotgun being racked. In the stillness of night, a sudden chorus of canine fury or the unmistakable ch-chick of a 12-gauge can send a jolt of fear through intruders. They may think you have a whole pack of dogs or a team of armed folks ready to rumble. Psychological warfare is about breaking the attacker's will to fight before the real fight even begins. Decoy supplies. Smart looters might be searching not just for you, but for your supplies. Don't keep all your eggs in one basket, literally. If raiders do breach your outer defenses, you can mislead and bait them. Keep a decoy stash of some food and supplies in an obvious spot like the pantry or garage. Mark it with something like a painted X, as if that's your main cache. Stock it with some expired cans, old batteries, stuff you can afford to lose. The goal is to satisfy them enough that they grab and go, thinking they got your lifeline, while your real supplies remain hidden in a crawl space or buried nearby. If things go really badly and you have to fall back or escape, having pre-hidden caches in the woods with water, ammo, first aid can keep you alive later. But the first aim is, if intruders get in, give them something to focus on and perhaps booby-trap it while you execute your next move. Stay invisible, OPSEC. On the flip side of deception is discretion. The best way to avoid being targeted is not to advertise what you have. In the lead-up to collapse, keep your prepping low-key. Don't brag about your generator or huge food stockpile to the chatty neighbor. Nosy neighbors can become desperate foes later. When the power's out for miles around, don't shine bright lights or blast a loud generator. That's a beacon that screams, "We have resources." Use blackout curtains, keep lights off or low, and run generators sparingly at midday when noise is less noticeable. At night, embrace the darkness. Use candles or flashlights under covers. You want your homestead to look as dark and uninviting as the rest of the countryside, so it doesn't draw wandering thieves like moths to a flame. Most doors in American homes are weak. A single kick can blow them open, not yours. Make your doors true barriers that force attackers to bottleneck and struggle. Reinforce main doors. Replace hollow core exterior doors with solid core or metal. A flimsy interior door won't cut it when 5 brutes are ramming it. Install high-quality deadbolt locks, single-cylinder deadbolts at least 1 inch long. Use long screws, 3 inch in the hinge plates, and strike plates so they anchor deeply into the wall framing, not just the flimsy door jamb. Consider door jammers or a security bar that props under the doorknob and anchors to the floor. These devices can withstand tremendous force and buy you precious time. In a crisis, you can also slide a sturdy piece of furniture or a homemade crossbar behind the door for extra support. Multiple layers of locking. Don't rely on a single lock. Have a deadbolt, a chain latch, and a barrel bolt on each exterior door. An intruder breaching a door should feel like peeling an onion lock after lock, slowing them down while you prepare your response. Fortify the frame. Remember, a lock is only as strong as the doorframe. Reinforce the strike plate area with a strip of steel or a specialty product that beefs up the door jamb. Some preppers even retrofit doors with metal sheeting or install security gates in front of the door. It might look ugly, but when SHTF function form, decoy entrance, if feasible, visibly reinforce the obvious entry. Front door, so attackers might try a less obvious route that you've trapped or more easily cover. For example, your front door looks like Fort Knox, so they opt for the side door, which you know has a clear line of fire from the stairwell. Funnel the enemy where you want them. Every prepper's bane, glass windows. They're the weakest link in your home's armor, silent invitations to a brick or a boot, but we can harden them, shatter resistance. For a relatively low cost, apply security film on your windows. This thick, transparent film won't make the glass unbreakable, but it holds the shards together when struck. An intruder can't silently poke out a small hole. They'd have to smash the entire pane repeatedly, making a ton of noise and effort. It's extra time for you to respond. If you have the budget, consider upgrading to laminated or bullet-resistant glass for critical windows, like those next to do barricade and block. Keep pre-cut plywood boards or metal grates ready to cover windows if the situation looks like prolonged lawlessness. Even plexiglass sheets screwed over a window add a layer. Some preppers install burglar bars on the inside of ground floor windows. If you do, ensure they have quick-release mechanisms on your side. You don't want to be trapped by your own security in a fire, or if you need to escape out that window. Defensive landscaping, again, we mentioned it, but it bears repeating. Thorny plants beneath windows, climbing, rose bushes, holly, barberry, any spiky deterrent to make approaching that window painful and slow. Don't forget skylights and chimneys. If your home has a skylight, treat it like a window, apply security film or board it up, cap your chimney or put a heavy grate in it. You don't want a big bad wolf dropping in from above. Yes, it sounds extreme, but cunning invaders will exploit any weakness. One of history's famous home invasions literally involved criminals coming down through a roof, so cover every gap. In a true end-of-the-world scenario, all bets are off. Booby traps are a grim but potentially effective layer of defense and a psychological weapon. They are illegal in normal times and dangerous to everyone, so reserve them only for when law and order are completely gone and you're in a kill-or-be-killed situation. If you go this route, warn your team and maybe even neighbors about the traps. You don't want friendly casualties. But when the horde is at your gates, here are some options. Spike strips, scatter, homemade tire spikes on likely vehicle approach routes. If a gang tries to storm in with trucks or ATVs, a hidden strip of nails or metal barbs can blow out their tires and immobilize their vehicles, turning their ride into a coffin if you have marksmanship on your side. Pitfalls. If you have time and terrain, dig pit traps at choke points where foot invaders might run. Cover them with thin sticks and foliage. Even a 3-4 foot deep pit can break ankles or trap a person. For the truly ruthless, old punji stake traps, sharpened sticks at the bottom can seriously maim, though be cautious, these are gruesome and indiscriminate. Tripwire explosives, the modern equivalent of a landmine without violating international law. Rig a tripwire to a 12-gauge blank or flare. Many preppers use perimeter alarm mines, small devices that fire a shotgun primer or bear banger when tripped. The ear-splitting bang and flash in the dark can stun and disorient intruders and definitely give them second thoughts. There are also DIY ways to use tripwires with pepper spray canisters or loud sirens. The key is to startle, confuse and even injure the attackers before they ever lay a hand on you. Home alone tricks. Think beyond military traps. Even simple booby traps can delay intruders. Tacks or broken glass on window sills for unwelcome hands. Strategically placed marbles on hardwood floors to send a running intruder tumbling. Or pepper spray bombs, a glass jar of pepper and vinegar rigged to fall and shatter when a door opens, releasing a noxious cloud. These might not kill, but they change the fight. An invader writhing with pepper spray in his eyes is easy pickings, or at least out of the fight. Remember, traps can be double-edged. One misstep by a family member could be tragic. And if you incapacitate an intruder, you'll have to deal with them afterward. Use lethal traps only as a last resort and mark your safe paths clearly for your own people. This is dirty, medieval stuff, but better a booby-trapped yard than a dead family if it comes to that. Safe room, the last refuge. Even with every defense, there's still a chance attackers breach your home. This is why you need a fallback, a place to make your last stand or hide and wait out the threat if possible. This is the safe room, your final layer of defense, hidden and hardened. A safe room could be a fortified master bedroom, a basement bunker, or a concealed closet that attackers might overlook. The key is strong barriers and supplies inside. Ideally, the safe room has a solid core or steel door with heavy locks, reinforced walls, sandbags, steel sheeting, or even bookcases filled with books which can stop bullets. And no windows. It should blend in if possible. A bookshelf door or a panel that doesn't draw attention. If raiders do overrun the house, they might not even realize that closet at the end of the hall hides your family ready to fight. Stock to survive. Equip the safe room with essentials: water, first aid, flashlights, a two-way radio, and weapons with ample ammo. It's not a prison to die in. It's a strong point to regroup and counterattack from, or a hide to wait for help if you expect any. Keep a charged cell phone or ham radio there in case you need outside assistance. In some scenarios, calling a neighbor or militia on the radio might bring help. Have spare keys to vehicles, so if you must escape, you can make a dash for a car or ATV ventilation and cover. If possible, ensure the safe room has a second exit, like a bolt hole through the floor or into attic or even a window into a backyard. You always want an escape route. If none, at least have tools to break out if needed, crowbar, etc. Ventilation is important if you end up stuck for hours. Even a small battery-powered fan helps. Mindset in the safe room. This isn't a place to cower in fear until doom arrives. This is where you make your plan. While your layered defenses hopefully injured and slowed the attackers, from the safe room you can call out with a bullhorn, "We've called armed neighbors. They're on the way." Or coordinate with any allies outside, or simply hunker down with guns pointing at the door, ready to defend that last choke point. If you've done it right, by the time they find you, there'll be few injured and demoralized. You'll have the advantage. Think of a safe room like a castle keep. Even if the walls are breached, the keep stands. Make it the toughest room in the house. And as a rule, every family member should know that when you say safe room now, they drop everything and run there. Timing can be everything. If the fight is lost and you can't hold the house, retreat in an orderly way. Cover each other as you fall back to the safe room, lock down, and prepare for a siege or a final standoff. All the fortifications in the world only delay the inevitable if you're not prepared to fight. When it comes to weaponry on a US rural homestead, take full advantage of what's legal and practical. This is your land. You have every right to defend it. Firearms are the great force equalizer in a societal collapse, and in America, chances are you have access to them. Primary arms. For rural defense, a reliable rifle is king. An AR-15 or AK pattern rifle gives you range, accurate out to a few hundred yards, a decent rate of fire, and common caliber ammo. A scope or red dot helps pick off threats before they get close. Back up that with a 12-gauge shotgun for close quarters. Nothing clears a hallway like buckshot. And a handgun on your hip for last resort room-to-room defense. Each defender should be armed if possible. If you have trained teenagers, consider giving them a .22 rifle or a spare shotgun for backup. Just the sound of gunfire can send many looters running. Remember, in collapse scenarios, there are no cops to call. You are the law now. As grim as that is, weapons staging. Strategically place weapons and ammo stashes throughout your home, out of reach of young kids, of course. In each major room or defensive position, have something at hand. For example, a handgun in a quick access safe in the kitchen, a rifle hidden in a closet near the front door, a shotgun upstairs by a dormer window firing point. If you get wounded or pushed back from one area, you can fall into another spot and still be armed. Also consider keeping a spare firearm in a weatherproof case hidden outside, in a barn, woodshed, or even buried in a cache. If you get overrun and have to flee the house, you don't want to be empty-handed. Ammunition and reloads. High-stress firefights deplete ammo fast. Store magazines and reloads at each position as well. It's far better to have too many than run dry at the worst moment. Color code or label them by station if needed. For example, red dot on mag equals sign upstairs kit. Stash extra ammo in the safe room too. Other weapons. Not every fight is won with a boomstick. Consider non-firearm defenses as supplements. A crossbow for silent takedowns. Pepper spray for close encounters. Spraying an intruder through a cracked door or from a hiding spot can incapacitate without a sound. And blunt weapons like a baseball bat or crowbar for last resort grappling. Even everyday tools can be weapons. A nail gun, a sharpened shovel, a machete. Place these in strategic spots, an axe by the back door, etc. They might also serve if ammunition runs out, or as silent takedown options if you manage to ambush an intruder quietly. Fire as a weapon. It's a double-edged sword. You don't want to burn your own house down, but be aware attackers might use fire to smoke you out. Store some firefighting tools. Buckets of water or sand, a fire extinguisher on each floor. Conversely, some defenders rig Molotov cocktails or keep gasoline at the ready. But be extremely cautious using fire offensively on your own property. It can backfire, literally. However, a well-timed flamethrower burst, even something like an improvised aerosol flamethrower, could panic an intruder. Use such extreme measures only if you're truly backed into a corner. When you pick up a weapon, you must be mentally prepared to use it. It's one thing to talk about shooting marauders. It's another to actually aim at another human and squeeze the trigger. But remember, these attackers aren't here to trade hugs. If they're trying to hurt your family, you must be ready to stop them with whatever force necessary. All the guns, gates, and gadgets mean little without the warrior mindset to back them up. Survival isn't just physical, it's mental. You need to cultivate an inner resolve as hardened as your property's defenses. Let's step into the psyche of both sides for a moment. Who are these people coming for you? Some are desperate fathers and mothers, formerly decent folks driven to theft by starving children, tragic but dangerous nonetheless. Others are opportunistic criminals already lurking on society's fringes pre-collapse, now unleashed. And then there are predatory gangs, young, aggressive, sometimes ex-military or ex-cons, who realize they can take what they want by force. They might be fueled by ideology, anti-government militias, etc., or just bloodlust and hunger. Attackers' tactics. Many attackers will scout their targets first. They may watch your homestead from a distance with binoculars, learning your routines. Perhaps they'll approach in daylight, posing as travelers in need of help, to get a closer look or to lure you out. Some might send a lone woman or even a child to your door crying for food, a ploy to lower your guard. Be on alert for trickery. Genuine refugees might come, but never assume. In a collapse, trust is a luxury. If strangers approach, meet them outside the perimeter, if possible, under guard, rather than inviting them straight in. Why rural targets? You might think we're far from the city, maybe we'll be overlooked. Don't count on it. As noted, when society breaks down, bandits love isolated rural targets, fewer witnesses, less organized resistance. They might bypass a well-defended small town or neighborhood watch in favor of a lone farmhouse. They assume you have food stores, maybe fuel, livestock, and that you're unlikely to have as many armed defenders as, say, a community center or a police station. This is why all the measures we discussed, from looking uninviting to appearing too tough to crack, aim to convince them to skip your place. You want them to think, not worth it, let's move on to easier pickings. Timeline of an attack. Often, it won't be a sudden swarming out of nowhere, though it could. More likely, tension builds. You might notice tracks outside your fence one morning. You're being watched. Maybe a barn gets quietly broken into for a test theft. Then one night, a few scouts probe your perimeter. Your motion lights catch them. They run. They report back to their crew about your defenses. If they still choose to hit you, they may come before dawn, hoping to catch you asleep and in darkness. Some gangs might try a two-pronged attack. One group creates a distraction on one side, setting a fire in your field or shooting at the opposite end of the property, while another group sneaks in from the other side. Anticipate these ploys. If you see smoke or commotion far from the house, don't send everyone rushing out. It could be a feint. Stick to your plan. Use your cameras or vantage points to confirm where the real threat is. Violence of action. Many attackers will attempt to use overwhelming violence and speed, hoping to terrorize you into submission. They may holler threats like, "Throw out your guns and we might let you live," or worse. Do not let them break your will. They rely on fear. Conversely, your strategy is to break their will, by making their attempts too costly, by injuring a few quickly, by demonstrating you're not the prey, you are a wolf, defending its den. To protect your homestead in such dark times, you must adopt a mindset equal parts strategist and savage. This is not to encourage unnecessary cruelty, but to steel yourself that if it's them or you, it won't be you. Mental readiness. From this moment, accept that trouble will come. Don't deny it or hope for salvation by authorities. There are no 911 calls in the apocalypse. It's on you. This acceptance is strangely freeing. Once you know nobody's riding to the rescue, you stop waiting for help and start being help for yourself and your family. Train your mind through scenarios. Visualize attackers coming and you prevailing. It might sound cheesy, but visualization builds confidence. When the adrenaline floods in during a real attack, a part of your brain will say, "I've been here before." Drills and training practice is crucial to mental toughness. Do shooting drills under pressure safely. Run 50 yards, then try to shoot targets to simulate stress. Practice reloading in the dark, clearing weapons malfunctions. Moving from cover to cover, run family drills like a fire drill. But for home invasion, at a code word, everyone executes the plan. Kids go to safe room or hit the floor in a designated spot. Defenders take positions. The more you drill, the more muscle memory overrides panic. Cold violence. Understand what lethal force truly means. You may have to shoot someone's son, someone's father, grim but true. In the moment of truth, hesitation can kill. Resolve now that if an armed intruder crosses your threshold to harm your loved ones, you will act without hesitation. This doesn't mean being trigger-happy. It means when you do have a clear shot at a confirmed bad guy, take it. As one discussion noted bluntly, when collapse hits, gangs will rape and pillage, and you will be on your own, have firearms. It's harsh, but it's reality. Mentally prepare for that reality, endurance and morale. A siege or repeated attacks can grind you down. Sleep deprivation, constant fear, the aftermath of violence, These will test your sanity. You need to cultivate resilience. Keep living even during siege. Eat on a schedule, keep energy up. Maintain hygiene if you can. It oddly boosts morale to feel somewhat human. And take micro breaks. Even in a war zone, soldiers crack jokes. Allow yourself small moments of normalcy or humor with your family to remind everyone why you're fighting. To have those normal moments again one day. If you have faith or philosophy, lean on it for strength. Your mind is a fortress too. Reinforce it with purpose and hope. Remember, you're not just surviving for survival's sake. You're protecting your homestead, your way of life, your loved ones, and whatever future lies beyond the chaos. In the face of prolonged violence, mindset is what separates those who crumble from those who endure. Burn this into your mind. I will do whatever it takes to keep my family alive. With that conviction, even if you're outnumbered and outgunned, the attackers will sense it, that unyielding spirit, and it can spook them. They might have expected an easy score. Instead, they found a warrior in a homestead fortress who won't back down. It's quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after the world has ended. Inside your house, the lights are off, your family huddled in positions you've drilled on countless times. You grip your rifle in the upstairs bedroom, eyes scanning the tree line through a narrow firing slit. Your heart pounds, but your hands are steady. You've prepared for this. Suddenly, a flare of movement on the east fence. Your tin can tripwire jangles. Movement, you whisper into your radio. Contact east. Maria, down in the living room, silently clicks off the safety of the shotgun. Your dog starts barking ferociously from the safe room where the kids are tucked away. They're scared, but they know to cover their ears and stay low. A muffled curse in the dark. One intruder just discovered your barbed wire coil the hard way. Another cries out as razor-sharp blackberries rake his arms. They hoped to sneak up silently. Instead, they're bleeding and swearing. You flip on the floodlights on that side. Bam! 3 attackers are caught in the open, illuminated like deer on a range. You fire a warning shot that zings into the dirt at their feet. They scatter, one dropping a shotgun as he flees back beyond the fence, but it's not over. Gunfire erupts from the west tree line, muzzle flashes, and bullets ping off your tractor parked out back. A diversion or a second team. Either way, you and your wife stick to the plan. You don't abandon your posts. She lobs a flare out a side window towards the tree line. It ignites into a searing white light hanging in the air and flooding the pasture in daylight-bright glow. You see them now. 3 figures darting from bush to bush. You take aim and fire. One goes down, the others dive prone. Meanwhile, a lanky raider has crept to your porch. He didn't come through the yard. Maybe he was hiding close by earlier. He's fiddling with your front window. He smashes it with his rifle butt. But the glass, laminated with security film, holds like a spiderweb. Frustrated, he reaches through to undo the latch, only to howl in pain as his arm meets the shards and the thorny rosebush you planted beneath. He tries to pull back, but a nail-studded board you positioned inside the sill snags his sleeve. In that second of panic, your teenage son in the hallway triggers the pepper spray trap you set by that window. A blast of capsaicin hits the intruder's face. He screams, blinded, and stumbles off the porch, running blindly into the night. One less threat. Now the attackers resort to desperation. From the east, you hear a roar of anger. "We're going to burn you out!" A Molotov cocktail sails through the air and shatters against your barn, starting a blaze on the old wooden wall. They want to smoke you out or distract you. The second it happens, 2 of the gang rush forward from the west, emboldened by what they think is your diverted attention. But your team anticipated this. You shout, "Fire Team Bravo, go!" Maria and your eldest, stationed on the west side, pop up from cover and unleash a hail of gunfire. One attacker falls, the other retreats, limping. The barn fire casts flickering orange light. This could end badly if the fire spreads, but you've got a plan for that too. A rainwater tank and a set of hoses sit nearby, part of your firefighting prep. You can deal with the fire after the fight. For now, the glow actually helps you see the remaining threats. The remaining attackers, realizing they're outmatched, start to retreat beyond the fence. One of them steps on something. A sharp snap is heard, and then a scream as a foothold trap clamps his leg. One of the fleeing raiders veers off the path and falls into the camouflaged pit by the ditch. He's impaled on sharpened stakes. Another trips a wire and a perimeter alarm fires a shotgun blank, the blast echoing. They are in total disarray. Less than 10 minutes, your layered defences have done what they were meant to: confuse, delay, and decimate the enemy. The survivors, if there are any uninjured attackers left, melt away into the darkness, dragging their wounded and babbling about how that place is a death trap, man. Silence returns, except for the crackle of the small barn fire and the distant groans of a dying intruder caught in your pit. You stand at the fence line, rifle in hand, scanning with your flashlight for any sign of a second round. Nothing. They're gone. This was just one battle in what could be a long war for survival. But you've learned what it takes. Defending a rural US homestead when SHTF is not for the faint of heart. It's for the prepared, the clever, and the determined. In a collapse, your homestead is more than just property. It's a fortress, a lifeline, a final stand. And the choices you make now will determine who walks away when the smoke clears. But remember, while this video outlines real-world defensive tactics, they are based on laws and freedoms available in the United States. If you're watching from the UK, where firearms and defensive tools are heavily restricted, your strategy will look very different, and we'll be covering that in another video. Stay alert, stay ready, and build a life worth defending. Thanks for watching Prepper's Edge, where survival isn't fear, it's freedom.